Hey, forget about theme park dining. Disney Springs has so many sit-down and fast food options for you to choose from that you are going to want to try them all. Disney Springs didn't used to be the best theme park for food, but now it's the best theme park for food, even though it's not even a theme park. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we're about to give you a double feature. That's right, we're ranking all the Disney Springs restaurants today, all in one video, but because there are so many of them, we're gonna split the ranking system into two categories, table service and fast food. That means there's gonna be two ultimate winners today, which I feel is very on brand for Disney Springs since they have some of the best dining options anywhere in Disney World. With each restaurant, we're gonna show you the pros and cons, just to show you that no restaurant is a one-size-fits-all type of place. I always say that every restaurant is the perfect restaurant for somebody. So the places we like to go may not be a great fit for your family, depending on what you like, and all the places you like to go may not win for us every single time. Different strokes for different folks, but that's why we are pretty even-keeled here, and we give you the pros and cons and what's going to be great about this restaurant and what may be some setbacks depending on who's eating there. While we won't be covering any snack locations today, except for the snack locations that can also provide an entree for you, if you scan the QR code you see on the screen now or head to disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks, we have you covered. There's a full digital list of our top 10 snacks in every single park, as well as full color maps that will get you to them. So that's right, you don't just get the list, you get a map that's gonna get you there too. I love it. Okay, are you ready? This is gonna be a long video. It has taken Bria a long time to write it. It's gonna take me a long time to record it. It is gonna be great though. Bria and I have been going back and forth with the rest of our DFB team to make sure we're giving you the right ranking. Okay, table service is first. We're kicking off today's video by heading to those sit-down restaurants. And as usual with our ranking videos, we're starting at the bottom of the barrel and working our way up. Okay, first up, AMC Dine-In Theater. Now this is kind of tough because it does what it's supposed to do, but of course it's not gonna be the best food that you're ever gonna get, right? So it's at the bottom of today's list, but we're not gonna not recommend it. This is the only place in Disney Springs where you can dine on a full meal while watching a feature-length film. Now, the menu here features hearty kind of pub grub, buffalo wings, loaded potato skins, onion rings, burgers, sandwiches. Most of it's probably frozen and heated up in a microwave. So basically, it's the same menu you're going to find at any other AMC dine-in theater or any of those other dine-in movie theaters you come across with that fork and screen dining concept. Is the food at AMC out of this world? No, it's really, really not. But sometimes a movie and a meal just really hits the spot. Pros for this one, dinner and a show, and it's a good rainy day option. But cons, if you're not a local, you may not want to dedicate 2+ hours out of your Disney vacation to experience this one. Also, you probably have an AMC dine-in theater or some sort of fork and screen dining concept at home, and it's pretty much the same stuff. Score 4 out of 10. All right, the rest of this bottom 5 has been kind of difficult because, again, there are a lot of really good restaurants in Disney Springs, and a lot of the restaurants are themed and have pros that could definitely make them your best restaurant. Okay, so I'm just giving you that caveat because there are definitely good things about all of these. Anyway, our next one on the list, Paradiso 37. This is a restaurant that serves what they call foods of the Americas with a focus on small, easy-to-eat portions. The best part about Paradiso 37 are its appetizers and drinks, and that's always been the case with this restaurant. Honestly, I've eaten here many, many times, and it's always going to be the appetizers, drinks, and desserts that are going to be the reason to go. The entrees are just sort of secondary. So if you're just looking for a place to get happy hour apps or something like that, then this could be a great option. However, the main entrees are not going to be as impressive as pretty much anywhere else in Disney Springs. Not to mention this place can still get pretty packed and noisy in the evenings, so kids might get a little overwhelmed, and grown-ups won't exactly have an easy time holding a conversation over the high volume atmosphere. Pros here, lots of different tapas-like options. We absolutely love the street corn that's just swamped in a bunch of amazing cheese, and you can also be on the lookout for happy hour discounts. They also have a giant tequila wall, so if you're into tequila, this could be a good option for you. Cons, the entrees are pretty meh and forgettable and still expensive. It can get really loud and busy around kind of dinner and after dinner. And depending on how busy it is, it may not be a great option for a romantic date night because it might be a little loud and a little raucous. Now, if you're wanting to bring your kids, I suggest going for lunch on this one. Score 5 out of 10. And we've come to Planet Hollywood. So Planet Hollywood features 3 levels of indoor dining rooms that are decked out with all sorts of authentic movie memorabilia. But no matter how many times we try to fall in love with this restaurant, we just don't. There are a lot of options on the menu here, but a good quantity doesn't actually mean quality. Not to say these items are inedible, but considering you've got so many other options around Disney Springs that are all way better when it comes to food, you're going to be getting major foodie FOMO if you go here. But one of my least favorite parts about this establishment is how loud it is no matter what time of day you visit. Pros for this one: lots of fun movie props to see while you're waiting for your food, lots of options on the menu, and honestly, you may want to hit up their outdoor karaoke bar, Stargazer's Bar, instead. That place is a good time. Cons for this one: it's loud. I was once served food with a dish that was still dirty. The food is kind of blah, and definitely not a date night vibe unless you are big movie buffs. Score 5 out of 10. Rainforest Cafe features an extensive menu of eats within an interactive rainforest-themed dining room. You're going to find a very similar, pretty much identical restaurant over in Animal Kingdom, as well as in many other worldwide locations, since it's a pretty popular tourist spot outside of the Disney bubble too. So yeah, you're not going to have a totally unique Disney experience here, nor are you going to have the highest quality menu options. Think of them being on a par with other variety restaurants like Chili's or Applebee's, but twice the price. That being said, Rainforest Cafe is still a fun, immersive dining option that your kids are going to get a kick out of. Pros on this one: highly immersive rainforest theming, expansive menu for all different types of eaters, and that sparkling volcano dessert is fun. Cons: popular tourist chain, not unique to the Disney scene. The food is okay, but not worth the steep prices, which you'll be paying for the atmosphere alone. Can get loud. Busy restaurant plus animatronic animals and occasional thunderstorms is far from a quiet dining experience. Score 5.5 out of 10. And of course, we've got T-Rex next. T-Rex is pretty similar to Rainforest Cafe. Just switch out the rainforest scene to be lots of dinosaur stuff and like meteors hitting the earth. Now, T-Rex has, I think, 2 locations right now, but it is definitely endangered. So you're not going to find it in nearly as many places as you will Rainforest Cafe, making this location a more unique choice in Orlando. Much like Rainforest, you're going to want to be on the lookout for those immersive storms that happen every few minutes, only instead of a thunderstorm here, you're going to have to brace yourself for the incoming meteor shower. And the prices here are still pretty steep for the food quality you're getting, but the atmosphere might make up for that, especially if you've got some dino fans in the family. Pros: a much more unique dining experience than Rainforest Cafe, simply because I think it's the only one. Immersive, prehistoric environment, great for dino fans and lovers of all things imaginative. You can actually sit inside a dinosaur here, and there's an expansive menu as well. Cons: place gets loud, maybe overstimulating for some. The menu is high in quantity, but not exactly the highest in quality, and it's not great for date night, again, unless you're both paleontologists who love robo-dinos. Don't let me cramp your style. I understand that some folks definitely have this on their honeymoon plans. Score 5.5 out of 10. We're heading next to CityWorks. Now, CityWorks is one of Disney Springs' newest restaurants. It opened, I believe right after or right before the COVID closures. Now, this is one of those table service restaurants that won't necessarily impress you, but it won't quite disappoint you either, depending on what you're after. Its main goal is to serve craft beer and American food, while also offering lots of high-def TVs for viewing live sporting events. So this is kind of going to be all things to all people. It's not going to be unique. It's not going to be, specific to downtown Disney. This is a chain. I actually have one in my town where I live. But if that's the type of vibe you're after, something that most likely everybody in your group's going to find something that they can eat and you can watch the game and get some craft beers, then CityWorks is going to work for you. But if you're looking for food that sets the bar, or you're wanting a more Disney-fied dining atmosphere, you're not going to find that here. This is a sports bar, pretty simple. Pros: lots of craft beers available, and it's very, very cool because they do pull them in from local craft beer makers. Great option if you're not wanting to miss the big game while on vacation, and lots of seating. More than likely, you'll find a last-minute reservation here, unless you're trying to watch the big game, like the big game. Cons: if sports bars aren't your scene, just keep on walking. The food is okay, but it's not fantastic. And again, this one's loud. Not the best spot for kids who may have sensory concerns. Score 6 out of 10. Next up is Splitsville Luxury Lanes, bowling and sushi, why not? Splitsville is a bowling alley that also serves a full menu of items like sushi, artisan pizzas, and other upscale pub food. But the great part about this place is you don't have to bowl to dine, and you don't have to dine to bowl. You can choose either activity or both, it's totally up to you. Granted, I'm not sure if coming here solely for the food alone is necessarily worth it. There's a couple of nice bars in here that have some good stuff when it comes to drink menu, but I don't know if that I'd come here just for dinner. But you might disagree, especially if there's something you really, really love here, like those loaded fries. Now, pros, bowling plus food is a fun-filled afternoon. They've got a boozy Dole Whip option that you might want to try. It's a good choice for a rainy day, and you can choose whether you want to bowl, dine, or do both. Cons? This is not really a con, but just a heads up, you do have to book both bowling and dining under separate reservations, which can be kind of annoying. And if you're not planning on bowling here, there are definitely better food options around Disney Springs for you to try. Prices here aren't terrible, but when you add the bowling expense to the mix, they do start to creep up on you. Score 6.5 out of 10. Okay, we're moving on next to one of those Patina Group restaurants. A lot of people don't know that there's a whole little glut of restaurants in the middle of Disney Springs that are owned by Patina Group. That includes Maria and Enzo's Hideaway, Edison, Pizza Ponte. Anyway, we're talking about Maria and Enzo's here. This is one of those restaurants that I wish I liked more than I actually do. It sounds like it should be really, really cool. It serves a menu inspired by Sicilian cuisine in a setting that celebrates the golden age of travel. It's kind of weird. It's supposed to be in like a giant airplane hangar or something like that. Or no, a giant airport that they took over and made into a giant restaurant. So it's huge. It's a massive restaurant. It's very visually unique, different. So anyway, that's the vibe you're going to get. And they even have like a first class lounge that was supposed to be a big deal thing, but now it's not really a big deal thing anymore. So that kind of flopped, but it sounded cool at the beginning. Anyway, this is expensive and it's pretty basic. While the lunch menu might be a slightly cheaper option, you'll have a few more options to choose from at dinner. But even with that extra, there are much better Italian restaurants to scout out around Disney Springs and also in Disney World. Maria Enzo's just isn't an all-time fave for us. It just doesn't hit the mark. Pros for this one, good for a date night without having to dress up really fancy, good for last-minute reservations if you're really craving some spaghetti, and it's Italian food, so if you like Italian food, then you may really like it here. Cons though, this place can get pricey, especially around dinner time, and there are better Italian options in Disney Springs, so stay tuned. And while this restaurant is classy, the space itself feels kind of underutilized. So don't come here thinking you're going to get over-the-top Imagineering. Even though the backstory is cool, you don't really get that vibe when you're there. Score 6.5 out of 10. This next one is a controversial one. I very easily could have put Maria and Enzo's above House of Blues, but here's where it landed after lots of conversations of where we should rank these. Now, House of Blues is all about the live music and the Southern grub. In general, this restaurant's a nice spot if you want to grab some food and entertainment at the same time. And it's definitely a very unique venue compared to other restaurants around it. How many other restaurants can say they bring in live music all year round? But if you're from a place that already specializes in Creole classics like shrimp po' boys, jambalaya gumbo, then House of Blues may be dull in comparison to the real deal that you've got back home. It's kind of a cross between a great Creole place and like an Applebee's or a Chili's, because the food feels a little bit mass-produced. It doesn't necessarily feel unique and artisan, which maybe that's not what you're after. The one thing, of course, that I really, really, really love here and talk about all the time is that toffee bread pudding. They call it different things. For a while there, it was a whiskey toffee bread pudding or something like that. I don't know. If there's a bread pudding on the dessert menu, then it's worth it to just go in there, sit at the bar and get that, because it's one of my favorite desserts in Disney World. But that's really the only reason that I would go to House of Blues at this point. Pros for this one, good if you're on the hunt for live music, but check the entertainment calendar on the House of Blues website to see when they will have it. Strong drinks, some spicy eats too. You don't usually get that spicy in Disney World. Prices aren't terrible here, especially for Disney standards, but again, for what you're getting, not sure it's totally worth it. Cons, gets pretty noisy when that live music gets started. The food isn't super unique, especially if your hometown specializes in similar cuisine, and be careful about what you order if you're not a fan of food with a kick. Score 6.5 out of 10. Next, we've got STK Orlando. STK is a modern steakhouse chain channeling the atmosphere of a sleek lounge. It's very Vegas-y in here. This restaurant proclaims itself as not your daddy's steakhouse due to its high-energy atmosphere. And I agree with that moniker. While there's plenty of indoor dining available, there's also this swanky rooftop dining patio. It's a little more casual, though, and this features some good views across Disney Springs. It's also going to be a little bit quieter up there. In the past, we've not been STK's #1 fan. In fact, we're still more apt to pick literally any other steak place on Disney property over this one. Not because the food isn't good. The food is actually great here, but because the vibe is a little bit too Vegas-y, like I said, not necessarily what I'm going for on a Disney vacation, and also it's unbelievably expensive. Anyway, with that being said, we have been finding other ways to enjoy this spot. Lunch isn't nearly as party heavy, so you can actually hear yourself think while you're there. That's a good time if you want to bring your kids. Lunchtime is the right time. Lunch also has a $45 prix dining option that comes with a starter, entree, and dessert, which is a decent deal considering STK's typical prices. And if you decide to visit the lounge here instead for social hour, you can get a selection of bites for around $5 to $9 per app, and that's not too shabby for a happy hour. Pros here, social hour and affordable lounge bites. For reals though, you're going to get a good steak here. They do a good job. And the party scene may actually be exactly what you're looking for a wild date night in Disney World. Cons, it's very, very loud. I know, I feel like that's a con for a lot of these restaurants so far. But get ready for a side of Vegas with your steak. And there are more affordable places to get steak in Disney World without sacrificing quality. Even the side options here can be really, really pricey too. Score on this one though, just simply because of the food quality, is a 7 out of 10. Next up is Enzo's Tunnel and Hideaway Bar. This is downstairs and runs underneath Maria and Enzo's and tunnels over to the Edison. And it's the restaurant you should probably be picking over Maria and Enzo's simply because of its really cool backstory and vibe. Now, according to Imagineering lore, Enzo's Tunnel was once a bootlegger's hangout during the dry years of the Prohibition era. So it's a pretty themed lounge and restaurant with a couple of really cool booth-style tables. It's inspired by Florida's long-running rum-running history and serves Roman cuisine and craft cocktails. While this might not be the best Italian-inspired cuisine you're ever going to have, I mean, it's coming out of the same kitchen as Maria and Enzo's most likely, the immersiveness of this place is really cool. It makes you feel a little bit rebellious, like you have a secret and nobody else knows about this place. Anyway, great Imagineering and storytelling. We're in the pros now, by the way. Unique atmosphere that you're not going to get anywhere else in Disney World, and safe food options for more choosy eaters. Cons on this one, Italian food is okay, but nothing that'll wow you. It's also very expensive. You may prefer different, more Disney-fied immersive theming with cheaper food instead. And it's not great for kids who aren't going to get the whole Prohibition vibe thing. They're just going to be like, why are we eating in a basement? Okay, score 7 out of 10. And we've made it to Terralina Crafted Italian. So this serves Italian cuisine created by the James Beard Award-winning chef, Tony Mantuano. The setting here is very cozy, reminiscent of an Italian home inspired by Italy's Lake District, and features an open kitchen as well as an outdoor veranda bar. That said, I will say that it kind of feels like a fancier Olive Garden in terms of the atmosphere. So that's the vibe you're going to get when you walk in. Kind of, I guess, neutral is the word. It's just kind of neutral with an overlay of what you think might be a Tuscan, like farmhouse. Anyway, okay, some of the options we've really, really enjoyed here, like the Italian fries topped with creamy cheese sauce and salami, as well as the pork ragu. Every once in a while, I don't know if they have this anymore. I've seen it on the menu a couple of times. They've got that fried spaghetti ball, which is very, very cool and kind of creepy. They've got a couple of good desserts here too. But other options, especially the brunch options available for limited time on Sundays, are kind of less desirable. Pros here, decent Italian food. This is going to be better Italian food than you're going to get at the other Italian restaurants in Disney Springs. Cozy, homey setting. You got that great outdoor dining by the lake. And so that's really nice on a nice Orlando day. And it's a more affordable table service option depending on what you order, of course. Cons, brunch, really not it, but that's okay because there's a billion other places to have brunch in Disney Springs. It also may not be the most exciting option for kiddos unless your kids really, really love the Olive Garden. And it's not the best option if you're looking for something more innovative, something more imaginative, or Imagineering centric. Score 7.5 out of 10. Heading over to some Mexican cuisine, Frontera Cochina is next, and this menu was crafted by celebrity chef Rick Bayless, who's the host of National Public Television's Mexico One Plate at a Time. So what are you going to find here? Well, it's authentic Mexican cuisine like tacos, handcrafted tortas, fresh guacamole, carnitas. And Frontera Cocina is a decent sit-down option that tends to be a lot less crowded than the other Disney Springs restaurants. It just hasn't come into its own yet. People don't really know about it. That being said, it's pretty pricey for Mexican food. Taco plates can range between $23 and $29 alone, and that's one of the cheaper entrees here. So keep that in mind. Even if you want some, celebrity chef Mexican food, it's gonna cost you. Pros: high quality Mexican cuisine. It's less crowded than most table services in Disney Springs. A good option for those looking to celebrate maybe a special occasion. And it also has the same mixology team as La Cava del Tequila over in Epcot. So you're going to get very similar margaritas and drinks as you can get at La Cava. So that's a pro in my book. Cons: pricey option for Mexican cuisine. Foods can be too spicy for those who are spice averse, and definitely not a quick meal. Plan to be here for a while. Score 7.5 out of 10. Now we're headed to the Edison. This is probably the most highly Imagineered restaurant in Disney Springs. It's got a lot going for it. It definitely should be a destination for you if you are a steampunk fan. Now, it first opened back in 2018, and it's had a lot of changes since then. Some for the better, some for the worse. It just all depends on who you talk to, because this began as a very, very ambitious concept for a restaurant. I think they thought they were just going to blow it all down with this. They didn't really, but it's still an ambitious concept and still a place worth going. Anyway, this restaurant features classic American food, craft cocktails, live entertainment, all with an industrial Gothic setting, that steampunk, those goggles, that brass and rivets kind of vibe. Now, before the 2020 closures, adults 21 and over were the only folks who would be permitted to enter the Edison after 10 p.m. for more of a nightlife burlesque setting. But since the closures, Edison is kept to a strict family-friendly environment no matter what time you visit. So you're definitely lost some of that more evocative nighttime entertainment. Pros for this one: live entertainment, everybody loves that, a fun 1920s Gothic vibe, and creative drinks and decent eats. Cons: some may miss the 21 plus atmosphere this place used to have, and things can get very pricey here. The Clothesline Candied Bacon app is now up to $18 for 5 pieces of bacon, which is bonkers. Not all the food here hits it out of the park either. You may want to skip the seafood option, stick with the burger, steak entrees, the prime ribs okay here. Some of the desserts are innovative and interesting, and this should go back up in the pro section. You can get a $100 punch bowl of your favorite drink to share among your buddies, so this is a great place to go with a group of folks. Score 8 out of 10. Alrighty, we are moving on to Paddlefish next. Now, Paddlefish focuses on fresh seafood, steaks, and chops in a modern, sleek boat setting. But of course, those of you who know Disney know that this boat has been here for a very, very, very long time. This has been many, many things, including a character restaurant long, long ago. Raise your hand in the comments if you remember, or if you've been to this restaurant when it was in one of its previous forms. Anyway, we tend to enjoy this place because of its gorgeous waterfront views, tasty seafood boil. We love the bar up on the rooftop. It's absolutely gorgeous up there. But sometimes we get kind of annoyed at Paddlefish for taking off some of our favorite menu items, leaving behind options that we're not nearly as fond of, RIP lobster corn dogs. Overall, we've had a few pretty decent experiences here lately that are helping us like it a little bit more, though we're still keeping our hearts at a safe distance. One of my favorite things at Paddlefish, though, is again that rooftop bar. And remember, you can go up there without a reservation. You don't even have to go through the restaurant. You can just walk up the stairs on the outside of the restaurant and head up to the rooftop bar. You can watch the sunset up there, get a couple of drinks. It's lovely. Anyway, pros: waterfront views for days, absolutely stunning from up there on the rooftop bar, but also you got great views inside the restaurant. Really, really good for seafood fans. And I like that in the bathrooms, they teach you how to tie shipping knots, sailing knots. sailing knots. Cons here, food can be hit or miss and it's expensive. Sometimes we enjoy it. I don't know what I was going to say there for a second, but sometimes we enjoy it. Sometimes we find ourselves wishing we'd spend our money elsewhere. And of course, we're still mourning some of our favorite options that have been taken off the menu. And if you don't like seafood, this is probably not the place for you. Score 8 out of 10. Wolfgang Puck Bar and Grill is next on our list. This is a modern twist on the traditional bar and grill. Now, a lot of you who are longtime Disney fans probably know that Wolfgang Puck had another restaurant, actually 2 other restaurants in Disney Springs back when it was downtown Disney. Both of those are now gone, and this is kind of the replacement. I guess we could actually say 3 restaurants: Wolfgang Puck Grand Cafe, Wolfgang Puck Cafe, and then Wolfgang Puck Express. So 3 restaurants. And there used to be 2 Expresses, so 4 restaurants. Anyway, he's down to just 1. There's a good variety of options to choose from here, though, even though the restaurant itself is a little bit boring to kind of sit in and look at. It's very standard kind of hotel restaurant kind of thing. But the variety goes from pastas to pizzas to burgers to sandwiches to steaks and salads. You know, Wolfgang Puck is famous for pizzas, but also for pastas, and he's got a lot of good stuff on his menu, and he's bringing in a lot of things that he is famous for at this particular location. This is kind of like a mashup of all the stuff that has worked in his other restaurants. Now, you can watch your food being prepared. You've got that open kitchen and a wood-fired grill out front and a big old pizza oven. And while the food here gets 2 thumbs up, I wouldn't exactly recommend it for an intimate date night. It's not really atmospheric in here, and it can get a little bit buzzy at night, but honestly, I don't think enough people know about this place. A lot of people haven't tried it, just kind of walk right past it because there's nothing really there to draw you in. But it is pretty good food. So a lot of times we say go to this place for the atmosphere, not the food. This is kind of the opposite. Pros, really good food, fresh ingredients. I think you're going to enjoy it. One of my favorite things to order here, by the way, if it's on the menu when you are there, is the blue cheese chips. It's these house-made chips with this incredible blue cheese sauce. I don't even like blue cheese, and these are incredible, and I absolutely love them. So get them if you can. You can also watch your food being made right there in the dining room. That's fun. Pretty quick for a table service as well. Cons, can get noisy around dinner time. Kids are going to find this place boring. Grown-ups might too as well. And it's not the greatest for an intimate date night. Score 8.5 out of 10. Next, it's time to pay a visit to the new kid on the block, Summer House on the Lake. This opened in December last year and presents a menu of California-inspired cuisine, including pizzas, sandwiches, salads, pastas, wood-grilled dishes, whatever that means. I mean, I think we know what it means, but I feel like restaurants keep using this terminology that is just kind of like, what's a wood-grilled dish? Well, obviously, it's something that's been cooked on a wood-fired grill, but what does that really mean? I don't know. Anyway, don't forget about the weekend brunch here as well. So this kid has only been here for a couple of weeks now. People are liking it, but I'm not hearing a lot of just like rapturous, unbelievable reviews. And that makes sense. This is kind of an all things to all people. You can get just about anything on this menu, and it's pretty neutral inside. There's no real theme to it unless it's like California, I guess. And the main complaint we have about this place is the portion sizes versus the price point. It's not exactly cheap to eat here, and you don't get the larger servings you might get at other places in Disney Springs, which for some folks might be, a blessing. They feel like they've eaten too much food and all the servings are too big. So if you've got a big appetite, you might want to consider ordering a starter or getting a dessert afterwards, which is going to rack up your bill. Aside from that, the service here is top-notch. This is a chain, so a lot of the food items have worked in other places in the country, so you're kind of getting pre-beta tested food here. And all the surrounding natural sunlight and greenery of this place makes Summer House a cozy and inviting restaurant. It could be worth the reservation and the money. Pros, interesting eats and a large menu of options too, bright and airy atmosphere, and don't forget about the cookies. This place actually has a cookie bar that you can go up to at any time. You don't have to have a reservation to go to the cookie bar, which I think a lot of people think you do. You can just go up and buy a cookie whenever you want. Cons here, the portion sizes don't exactly match the price point, and this one takes time to experience, so don't expect this to be a super speedy meal, at least not yet. The cookies are good, but we prefer the ones over at Gideon's Bakehouse. Score 8.5 out of 10. Moving on to Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar. This is an Indiana Jones themed lounge serving specialty cocktails and tapas inside a dining room that's packed with vintage travel posters, aviation equipment, George Lucas movie Easter eggs, and several other trinkets and doodads that tell tales of Indy's travels alongside his ace pilot, Jock Lindsay. For the most part, this bar and lounge focuses more on their cocktails and mocktails than on their lounge bites, but There are still a few heartier options that you can pick up on the menu to split among your group or keep all to yourself if you don't feel like sharing. Around Christmas time, Jock Lindsay's goes from being a hanger bar to a holiday bar, featuring lots of Christmas whimsy both in decor and on the menu. Pros here, epic Indiana Jones theming, fun and kooky cocktails and mocktails, many of which are also Indiana Jones themed. The seasonal holiday theming is good and underrated when you're visiting around November and December. And of course, they've got some really fun seating here. You can sit outside or you can sit indoors. We always like to try to score that diving bell table, which of course is always taken, and it's a first come, first serve, so don't be a weirdo just like hanging out around the diving bell. Like, at least pretend that you're not just hanging around waiting for them to finish eating. Cons on this one, kids might enjoy the theming, but there's not really a specific menu for them to choose from here. It's also not the best if you're looking for a sit-down meal that serves up full entrees instead of shareable bites. This is definitely a lounge with kind of lounge bites. There's a happy hour here, so that's great. There are more adventurous options here too, so pickier eaters may not be as thrilled with this menu. Score 9 out of 10. We've made it to the Boathouse. Ahoy, mateys! This is a high-end restaurant that can seat up to 600 guests at a time. It is massive, with a culinary focus on steaks and seafood. Now, there are a few non-seafood options on the menu aside from just steaks, but those options aren't really what this restaurant is known for. So if you're not a big seafood fan, I'd probably skip this one. Pros, high quality seafood and steaks. They've got a couple of good burgers, some decent desserts. There's also lots of seating, so last minute reservations may be available on the day of your visit. And the Captain's sing-along brunch is offered here on the weekends. It's a lot of fun. I can also tout the outdoor seating as well. A lot of folks really have great memories of sitting out on the dock here at the Boathouse and enjoying drinks and apps or a whole meal. By the way, this is also the place that does have those amphicars, so you can book an amphicar ride for your family and get kind of a little boat ride / car ride around the lagoon out there. But I will say it's quite expensive. Now, if you eat at the Boathouse, you can get a discount on your amphicar ride, so heads up. Cons on this one, don't like seafood? Go someplace else, probably. I don't love seafood personally, and I do okay here, but there are definitely fewer options, and they are a seafood forward restaurant. They have a lot of raw oyster options too. If you are into that, they have a whole oyster bar. The food is also pricey here, but what else can you expect from a steak and seafood restaurant, right? And it's probably not the most thrilling for kiddos. A better date night environment probably, unless you're going for brunch. Now, speaking of, brunch has the most amazing little cinnamon rolls. They are so good. So I would probably recommend brunch if you happen to be there on the weekend, but there's lots of other places in Disney Springs that have great brunches too, so it's hard to choose. Anyway, score on this one, 9.5 out of 10. I could talk about these restaurants for days if I wanted this video to be 600 hours long, if either of us wanted this video to be 600 hours long, but don't worry, we talk about these restaurants in a bunch of other videos too. Okay, we've made it to our top 5 Disney Springs table service restaurants. At number 5, we've got Jaleo. This is a signature restaurant serving up the traditional and contemporary Spanish cuisine of celebrity chef Jose Andres. The atmosphere here is really fun with eccentric artwork, fancy decor, everyone shouting paella every 45 minutes. You can easily spend a long night here drinking and nibbling and chatting away with your friends. But if you're not a huge fan of the idea of sharing your meal with everyone at your table, since tapas are kind of the name of the game here, or you aren't a fan of Spanish spices and flavors, then this is a lot of money to put down in a restaurant you're not going to be that impressed with. So look over the menu in advance, make sure this is a restaurant you really want to invest your time and money into. Pros, of course, the paella. It is truly delicious. Now note that they have a different paella every night, so you might want to call in advance and make sure it's a paella you're going to want to eat or can eat if there are any allergy concerns. Next up, great for adventurous eaters who want to try a little bit of everything, and also a great place for a celebration. Cons, don't try to buy a Coke here because it comes in a tiny expensive bottle. This is one of my biggest issues with this restaurant. It's also not great for those who don't want to share food. I get it. Also not great for those pickier eaters who don't want to spend a lot of money on spicy or spiced or unique eats. Score 9.5 out of 10. Now, just barely missing the top 3 category is Wine Bar George, a 210-seat wine bar headed up by Master Sommelier George Miliates, which I don't think I've mentioned in the videos in a while. He actually was the sommelier that opened California Grill over there in the Contemporary Resort. Now, Wine Bar George comes in clutch for us over and over again. Whether it's the cheese board, the short ribs, the fried mac and cheese bites, the cheese on fire, love that stuff, the meatballs, or the lovely drinks paired with it all. They're all winners in our book, so hopefully you feel the same. What I will say about this place is it's probably not the greatest for younger kids. There is a kids menu featured here. Kids are welcome to come, but since this is a place that's more focused on wine and less on in-your-face Disney characters, the younger members of your party might get bored real quick. Pros, this really is a great one for date night. There's so much amazing wine here, and don't worry, they are not condescending about it. They will come and explain wine in a very relaxed and accessible way. That's one of the things I love about Wine Bar George. You can also order really small portions of wine if you just want to try one of the more expensive wines, but you don't have to pay for a whole glass just in case you don't like it. You can just order it by the ounce and just try it out. And if you like it, you can order more. The bites are top notch here too, just like the views, but the menu might be a little bit limited for what you would expect. Definitely think, come here for the wine and the wine options. The food is delicious, but again, it might not be a wide enough variety to serve everybody in your particular group. Cons, not great for those traveling with younger kiddos. And while you don't have to spend a lot of money here, drinks and apps do add up quickly. And you're looking for a menu with more substantial and hearty options, this probably isn't it. Score 9.5 out of 10. If you're big on the dining scene, then the name Morimoto might sound familiar to you. Chef Morimoto has opened restaurants in places all over the world and has received awards for his cuisine and aesthetic, including Michelin recognition for Morimoto Asia itself here in Disney Springs. Morimoto Asia is pricey, but it's one of those restaurants that can be worth the splurge if you're a big fan of elevated dining experiences and Pan-Asian food. Not to mention the setting is gorgeous, taking place in a 2-story venue that features show kitchens and waterfront views. Again, a little bit of a Vegas-y vibe here, but less of the than you get over at STK. Pros, elevated Pan-Asian cuisine, beautiful setting. The waitstaff here has always been lovely and very attentive. We're big fans of this spot. Cons, $4 y'all. Save up your monies for this one. Also, if you're not a fan of Pan-Asian cuisine, there's not a lot for you to choose from here. And this isn't a quick dining experience. Stay for a while, enjoy it. If you've got somewhere to be, you might want to go someplace else. Score 9.5 out of 10. We have made it to our top 2, and I want to state that these two both get a 10 out of 10 rating. So you can kind of say that they're tied for first place. I'm going to start with Raglan Road. I love Raglan Road. Love it. I prefer eating at Raglan Road over most of Disney's theme park restaurants, and that is not being dramatic, that is me telling the absolute truth. Raglan serves up contemporary Irish pub grub, while live music and a team of Irish dancers provides entertainment during certain times throughout the day and evening. Just be warned, it'll get loud during the shows, and not every table will get a great view of the stage, so if you want to increase your chances of seeing the action from your seat, ask the host up front if there's a possibility of you getting the show seating. The answer may be no if the dining room's already full, but it's always worth checking on just in case. Or maybe you don't want to be super close to the show because you'd rather talk to the people that are in your party, in which case tell them that. Say I'd rather be in kind of one of the rooms off to the side where it's not going to be quite so loud. Now, this authentic Irish pub is a good time with good food. Whether you eat there for brunch, lunch, dinner, it gets 2 thumbs up for me every single time. Pros, solid Irish pub choices for lunch and dinner. Brunch options are superb too. Live music and entertainment offerings, and of course, the Guinness. Cons, entertainment isn't always available, so check those show times. It can get loud, so make sure you're sitting in the right place where you're going to be able to hear or not hear the person that you're with, depending on what you're looking for. And not all seating is going to give you a great view of the show. Score 10 out of 10. And the next restaurant share in the top spot is, of course, Art Smith's Homecomin'. This is really some of the cream of the Disney dining crop. Homecomin' is a farm-to-fork restaurant created by celebrity chef Art Smith, and it reflects his own Florida roots. The most renowned dishes you're going to find at Homecomin' are the thigh-high chicken and biscuits, Art's famous fried chicken, the church lady deviled eggs, fried chicken and donuts, and the hummingbird cake, which I absolutely adore. Now, I think it's really fascinating that all of these items have been on the menu since the beginning, since this restaurant opened. So that's kind of cool that they've really just stood the test of time. The food here may not be the most adventurous, especially if you're from the South yourself, but the high quality items and more unique twists on some of these home-cooked classics are why we keep coming back for more. Pros, good old Southern cooking, moonshine cocktails that are a 10 out of 10, a good choice for those who want to try something different without stepping out of the box too much. Cons, may not be the best for more adventurous eaters, and not the most expensive restaurant on property, but those prices will still add up, especially if you go all out with the cocktails. This is a cozy restaurant, but not a fancy one. Date night could be fun here, but not if you're looking for someplace real classy. Score, 10 out of 10. Okay, now we are entering into part 2, ranking Disney Springs quick services, aka their fast food joints. I know we're covering a lot of places really fast today, but if you're looking for a more detailed guide that goes in depth with not just all the Disney Springs restaurant options, but also all of Disney's other stuff to choose from, like restaurants in their parks and their hotels, then be sure to check out our 2024 DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining. That's over at dfbstore.com. You can get all the recommendations, the budgeting tips, the dining planning advice, everything you could ever need to go and eat at Disney World. Just make sure to type in code YouTube so you can save some extra money on that multi-part digital guide before you check out. As y'all know, we are super proud of that guide. It has been fully updated for 2024. We pour our heart and souls into that book, so I hope you enjoy it. Alrighty, here we go. Quick service restaurant rankings in Disney Springs, starting with Smokehouse at House of Blues. Now again, this is going to be our lowest ranking to our highest ranking, same as it was with the table service. Okay, so while we don't mind House of Blues' main restaurant location, we could really take or leave its attached counter service. The Smokehouse serves classic barbecue as well as those giant smoked turkey legs in an outdoor atmosphere. Everything's outdoors here. You gotta sit outdoors, order outdoors, etc. And while they just introduced a couple of interesting corn dogs to the menu here, the Smokehouse's biggest fault is that it's just forgettable. It's not a bad place to pick up barbecue, but it's certainly not the best place. And it's quick and semi-affordable, but so are a lot of better fast food options in Disney Springs. Pros for this one, looking for those giant Renaissance Fest-like turkey legs? Smokehouse has them. And it'll get the job done. It's quick, affordable, and will get you fed. Cons? It's forgettable. It's way over there on the west side of Disney Springs. It's not in the places where people usually are out and about. So it's hard to get there relatively. I know it's not hard to walk over there, but most people don't make it all the way over there, and it's just not worth the destination travel. And if you don't want a real heavy meat entree on the go, then you probably want to look someplace else. Score, 5 out of 10. Okay, this next one is going to ruffle some feathers, I already know, so let's be prepared. We're going to put Amorette's Patisserie in here, and that is not because of their pastries. Their pastries we would consider kind of a dessert place or a bakery, not necessarily a fast food location. The reason why Amorette's is in this list is because they do have sandwiches and sandwich combos as well. You can get a full lunch here. So if we're ranking desserts, if we're ranking pastries in Disney Springs, then Amorette's is going to be a lot higher, obviously, even though it's mostly too expensive for what you get. But when we talk about the actual sandwiches here, this is not the place. This is not where you want to kind of prioritize for a meal. And here's the problem. While these sandwiches are decent, they're pretty pricey for what you're getting. And what you're getting is a pre-made sandwich rather than one that's been made fresh on the spot. So I've eaten the sandwiches here before and they're okay, but literally there are so many other great options to choose from that I just skip the savory stuff here entirely and stick with the sweet stuff. Pros, lovely bakery with artisan cakes and sweets, and sandwich combos do come with chips and a dessert. Cons though, pricey for just a sandwich, and not to mention there are way better sandwich options to choose from in Disney Springs, which you're going to hear about soon enough. Score 5.5 out of 10, just for that lunch, not for the desserts. Next is B.B. Wolf's Sausage Co. Raise your hand if you didn't even know this was in Disney Springs. A lot of people don't ever see it and don't even know it's there. But if you're in the mood for a hot dog, this is probably a good bet in Disney Springs. B.B. Wolf's is a food kiosk featuring artisan sausages. In all honesty, this is actually one of the better places on property to pick up a hot dog thanks to its wide variety. But hot dogs are all you're going to find here. Hot dogs, kielbasa's, sausages, things like that. So if you're not on the hot dog scene, this is not the place for you. Pros, lots of unique artisan hot dogs to choose from. There's even a hot dog sampler so you can try a few at a time. Cons, though, not great for non-hot dog fans. And there are no seating options. This is just a kiosk. Score 6 out of 10. Next on our list is Isake. Now, this is a small kiosk that serves globally inspired street food and build your own poke bowls, as well as specialty drinks that change up throughout the year. And that all sounds great, and for the most part, it is. But if you're wanting like top tier poke, this is more mid-tier poke, and it's also hard to find a place to sit and eat these hearty bowls since seating around here is severely limited, so maybe just stick with the boba. Pros, seasonal boba teas that are really fun, and one of the few places you're gonna find poke in Disney Springs, probably the most affordable one at that. Cons, it's just okay. There's not much more to say about it, and very limited seating options. Score 6.5 out of 10. Heading over for donuts next, we're going to Everglazed. This may be best known for those donuts and their specialty coffees, but don't overlook the sandwich and burger options available here too. A lot of people don't even know they exist. However, if you are feeling adventurous, you can upgrade your sandwich for just $1 more and have your grilled cheese served on a glazed donut instead. Now, if you love a sweet savory, that's a good option. If you want something non-sandwich or burger specific, then no, I'm not going to recommend Everglazed. But I don't know, this is a fun and different option that you might want to consider, especially if you too think that super sweet and super salty combos are the best type of collabs. Pros here, the sweet stuff is some of the best stuff, with options like cold brews, those great donuts, including specialty donuts and flavored milks. But the sweet stuff can carry over to the sandwiches too, so your grilled cheese can have a glazed donut bun. Cons, if you don't want a sandwich or burger, you don't have many other options here besides those donuts, of course. And these donuts are going to be pricier than your average Krispy Kremes. These are going to set you back $5, $6, $7. Score 7 out of 10. We are back at Jaleo, kind of, but this time we're checking out its attached counter service window, Pepe. Pepe features a much smaller menu of Spanish cuisine, including hot and cold sandwiches on pan de cristal, aka a unique Spanish bread, along with Spanish sangrias and churros and other grab-and-go stuff. This could be a really good option if you want to ease your taste buds into the whole Spanish dining concept before booking a reservation for Jaleo, just to see if you like these kinds of items or not. But I wouldn't flat out choose Pepe over Jaleo if given the choice, because you're really going to be missing out on that fun-filled environment, as well as the best food that Jaleo has to offer. If you choose to dine on the go rather than the restaurant, you're missing out on a lot of atmosphere. Pros here, cheaper alternative to eating at Jaleo, and it's hard to beat a sangria on the go. Cons, definitely not a replacement for Jaleo. I'd still recommend saving up for that signature location if you want to dine someplace fun and fancy on some of the best Spanish food in Disney World. It's also not the best option for picky eaters here at Pepe who want to stick with grilled cheese and turkey sandwiches. Score 7.5 out of 10. We're headed next to the subway of pizza shops. Yep, Blaze Fast-Fired Pizza features an interactive assembly line format that allows you to customize your personal pizza exactly how you want it, with over 40 toppings to choose from, and it's all for one price. I do like Blaze. It's one of those places you just kind of default to if you don't know exactly where you want to eat. But remember, Blaze isn't unique to Disney Springs. There are over 300 different Blaze pizza locations across the US, so you're probably not far from one. And you're not going to be missing out if you decide not to dine here during your next Disney Springs trip. Pros for this one, customizable pizzas, and it's very affordable. It's a good option for the whole family. Cons, it's a chain restaurant, nothing too out of the ordinary here, and you may not want to waste one of your meals in Disney World on something you could get a bunch of other places. And the next place we're going to talk about has better quality pizza, in my opinion. Score 7.5 out of 10. Next, we're headed to Pizza Ponte, and this serves Sicilian pizza by the slice, as well as a few fresh and flavorful Italian sandwiches and pastries. While not every pizza option here blows us away, like the fungi slice we tend to find kind of greasy and not great. Other options we'd order again in a heartbeat, like the classic Big Roman with just tomato sauce and mozzarella cheese, we do tend to find fabulous. But note that this place is pretty inconsistent. Sometimes the pizza is awesome and sometimes it's just meh. It really depends on the day and on who's doing it. There aren't a whole lot of options on the menu here, and it's not as customizable as you're going to have over at Blaze. But if you've got a hankering for some za and you're looking for a convenient lunch that'll satisfy your picky eater posse, then Pizza Ponte might rank up there for you. Pros, giant pizza slices for an affordable price, higher quality pizza than Blaze most of the time, and quick and convenient, which is hard to beat. Cons, not a huge menu variety, not customizable, And again, inconsistent. Score 7.5 out of 10. Some of y'all out there think of poutine as more of a snack rather than a meal, but the varieties you can get over at the Daily Poutine may help you change your mind since the toppings are good and plentiful and filling and the servings are huge. The Daily Poutine features twists on the traditional and beloved Canadian pub grub, including the classic version with hot fries topped off with beef poutine gravy, cheddar cheese curds. But be on the lookout for seasonal varieties here too, which tend to pop up around major holidays or even just on a whim. Now, depending on who you talk to, the poutine may not be as Canadian authentic as you'd like it to be, but come on, it's fries with cheese and gravy. Authentic or not, it can still be a tasty option to grab and munch on while walking around the shopping district. Pros? Traditional, international, and seasonal poutine varieties, and you can treat this as a snack that you can share or a full-blown walkable meal. Cons may not be as authentic as you want it to be, and some seating is available nearby, but you may have to take your fries with you on those busier Disney Springs days. There's no indoor seating here and not a whole lot of seating outside. Score 8 out of 10. Here we are at Four Rivers Cantina Barbacoa food truck. It serves signature Mexican barbacoa dishes, including nachos and tacos, quesadillas, taco cones, and burrito bowls. Now, this is one of those famous Orlando institutions that kind of created a food truck to get into the mix at Disney Springs. So if you like Four Rivers restaurants, you'll like this too. And that's pretty much the gist of it. You grab your Mexi Eats, you take them with you or grab an outdoor table nearby, and then go about your day. Just don't skip past this place solely because it's a food truck, because you're gonna find some really top-notch options here. Word of warning, that taco cone, not as portable as it seems. It's huge, it's downright messy, so don't assume it's gonna be easy to carry around and enjoy like an ice cream cone. It's better for you to sit down for a bit and enjoy it rather than how all those ingredients escape you as you're trying to walk and munch at the same time. Pros, good Mexican cuisine inside a cute little red truck, and it's affordable and quick. Cons, not a whole lot here for plant-based eaters or kids, and no indoor seating available. Score 8 out of 10. If you like Wine Bar George, you're going to love its attached counter service, the basket. Not only are you going to find picnic basket meals and frozen wine slushies here, but you're also going to find a lot of the same bites you can order from Wine Bar George indoors, including options like the house-made hummus and the crispy mac and cheese bites. If you're looking for a more substantial meal, then the basket probably isn't the right fit for you, but if you want to make a meal out of a few different lounge bites to go, then we love the basket for that. Now, this is just a walk-up window, so you're going to have to sit in the outdoor seating or take it to go. Pros, lots of Wine Bar George options on the go, and frozen wine slushies. Cons, not great if you're looking for a hearty, much more filling meal and not a whole lot of seating around this area, so you'll have to walk a little ways until you can sit down and munch. Score 8.5 out of 10. Now here's one we haven't talked about in a little bit, but it's ranking pretty high in this list. Deluxe Burgers serves up gourmet burgers on fresh-baked buns, and in case you've still got stomach space left over, you can also order one of their primary offerings, the artisanal gelato shakes. Deluxe is great at coming up with unique seasonal burger offerings year-round, though not all of them are ones we'd revisit anytime soon. The flavors can sometimes be a little too adventurous, but most of the time we really do like the seasonal options here. And this is a super speedy spot for adventurous and picky eaters alike to have a filling meal without taking too much time out of your day to enjoy it. Pros here, gourmet burgers and artisanal shakes. Mobile ordering through the My Disney Experience app is available here, which can't be said about many of the quick service options in Disney Springs. And it's got a bunch of indoor seating, so if you need that indoor AC chill out, this is the place. Cons, not a great option for plant-based eaters, though there is one plant-based burger on the menu here. And it's also not great if you're looking to eat a real heavy meal, although I will say these are big chunky burgers, so you're gonna get full. Score 8.5 out of 10. Now here's another brand new restaurant in Disney Springs. Eat by Manit Chawan was created by that James Beard award-winning chef and Food Network star exclusively for this space in Disney Springs. She's developed a restaurant that serves creative, modern twists on Indian cuisine in quick service fashion. Now, our favorite part about this new place is definitely the fast food bread service, which comes with buttered naan, garlic naan, pimento whipped paneer cheese, masala vegetable sticks, Indian pickle, coriander honey, and various chutneys. There's a lot going on there. But you can get a variety of other super unique options too, like the DIY pani puri, the chocolate and strawberry naan pizza, the mango lassi, They've got that incredible chicken poutine, just tons of yummy stuff to try here if you're a big Indian food fan. And while Eat does offer a variety of options, it still might be for you if you're not looking for flavors that are a little too unique for your palate. Pros? Fun and new and innovative offerings without breaking your budget. And it's brand new, just opened up this past December. Plus, there is plenty of indoor seating and outdoor seating here as well. Cons could be a little too unique for pickier eaters. If you're looking for, chicken nuggets kind of situation, then this is all very much Indian influenced food. And it might be a pretty far walk if you're coming to the shopping and dining complex by bus or via parking garage. This is a bit of a hike away from the main entrance. This is where Wolfgang Puck Express used to be over there on the market side, so it's right at the edge of Disney Springs. Score is 8.5 out of 10. Now, remember my beloved Raglan Road from earlier? Okay, so Cooks of Dublin is the counter service for that, where you can grab Irish-inspired options that specialize in hand-battered selections. This is kind of your Chippy in Disney Springs. And don't knock this place just because it's the fast food version of Raglan, because this little restaurant still provides fresh meals with high-quality ingredients. Warning though, indoor seating is pretty limited here, and the food is heavier than you can usually expect from a quick service. There's a lot going on. But if you love pub-style food and you're in a hurry to get back to your full day of shopping, Cooks of Dublin is the place that's going to hook you up with good stuff. Pros? Fast, fresh, and tasty Irish-inspired dishes and good portion sizes. One of my favorite things to have here, as you know, if you've been watching the videos for a long time, is that vintage bacon and cheese dip. It's so good. Now, cons, it may be too heavy of a meal for some looking for a much lighter, less fried option, and not a lot of indoor seating. Score 8.5 out of 10. All right, Chicken Guy is next, and for those of you who have been subscribed to this channel for a while, you may be surprised that it's this low on the list. But we're mad at Chicken Guy. We still love Chicken Guy, but we're mad at Chicken Guy, and while it's still part of the top 5 lineup, it's definitely not at the top anymore. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Now, once again, we're looking at a quick service that's not unique to the Disney Springs area anymore, because even though it was the first one, there are now other Chicken Guy locations out there in the US you can track down. Disney Springs, though, is the flagship. The menu features all natural chicken tenders paired with a variety of sauces, and here's where the angry part comes in. There used to be many more sauces to choose from. Chicken Guy opened touting 22 sauces for your chicken tenders. And then recently, they cut that back by more than half. Chicken Guy took them off the menu. We've now got 10 sauces instead of 22. This is very sad. And again, it's knocked them down on our list a few spots. But that said, and regardless of my feelings on Saucegate, this place is still a tasty and safe bet, especially for picky eaters. They've got good, fresh comfort food, a pretty small menu. It's chicken tenders, some mac and cheese, a couple of sandwiches. They do have some new sandwiches, so we'll give them that. And a couple of milkshakes, stuff like that. But it's really good. The remaining sauces are still excellent. And the biggest pro for this one, it is highly affordable. Now, please excuse me while I go cry over my missing 12 sauces. Pros for this one: tasty chicken, plain and simple, great for kids and pickier eaters looking for high quality, safe food, and it is excessively affordable. Cons: where did the 12 sauces go? What is going on, Chicken Guy? Also, not the most adventurous place to dine in the Springs, and there's not really enough indoor seating here. Score 9 out of 10. Next up is Earl of Sandwich. This is the quick service to go to when you A, don't want to spend a lot of money on a meal, and B, want an option that everyone can pretty much agree on, and C, are craving a nice toasty sandwich. This fast food joint creates signature sandwiches with custom-made sauce, fresh ingredients, and artisan breads. It's another one of those places that started out in Disney Springs and basically spread across the country. Now there are Earls of Sandwich everywhere. And if you're looking for a quick and easy breakfast, they've got sandwiches for that too. While Earl of Sandwich isn't unique to Disney Springs anymore, and you'll more than likely find another one of these places right close to you, it's still one of those safe haven options where your wallet will sigh in relief and your rumbling stomach will thank you for the speedy eats. Pros: affordable, quick, fresh, and satisfying, and breakfast options on the go. Cons: it's a chain restaurant now, and it's not great for those who are looking for a totally unique Disney experience. And if you don't want a sandwich, you'll have very few other options to choose from. Score 9 out of 10. Moving on to Morimoto Asia street food. If you're surprised to see Morimoto back on the list, don't be. It's excellent for takeaway as well as sit-down meals, and it's getting the silver medal this time. Morimoto Asia Street Food is located on the patio of the main Morimoto restaurant and is a walk-up window that serves counter-service versions of some of the Pan-Asian cuisine featured in the main location. Now, if you want an extensive list of Morimoto Asia eats, you're still going to need to book a reservation at the main restaurant, but if you're okay with more limited options, then you'll be able to order items like ramen, those incredible ribs, which you can also get inside the restaurant and pay more for, egg rolls, and takoyaki, which are those octopus fritters. Pros: budget-friendly version of Morimoto Asia, sign me up, and quick eats that are still quality eats. Cons: the menu's way more limited here than you'll have inside the main restaurant, and patio seating is pretty limited, so try dining during off times for a better chance at snagging a table, or plan on taking your food on the go. Score: 9.5 out of 10. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the absolute best quick service in all of Disney Springs is, well, it's the Polite Pig this year. This quick service was recognized by the Michelin Guide back in 2022, so it's got the distinguished title to further prove it's the best. And while the Polite Pig is one of the pricier quick service options we've listed off today, you'll definitely want to look over the menu prices before you come here. It deserves the #1 spot on this list and in our hearts for its impressive barbecue, satisfying appetizers, and extensive drink list. This place just kind of keeps getting better and better, and they don't rest on their laurels. They keep bringing in new chef selections, they keep making things just a little bit better, and who doesn't love that? Now, for those who don't know, this is actually run by local restaurant royalty James and Julie Petrakis, who also have the Ravenous Pig, Cask and Larder, and a couple of other restaurants in the Orlando area. They are very, very well known for their status as experts in this field. So if you go to Polite Pig, you are supporting local. Pros for this one: award-winning barbecue and great for bourbon connoisseurs. There is a bourbon bar here. Cons: pretty pricey for a fast food joint, and it gets real busy during peak dining times. The lines can get long. Score: 10 out of 10. And just like that, Homecoming, Raglan Road, and the Polite Pig have taken the top spots today. And while we think those gold stars are well-deserved, what do you think? Is there a restaurant on this list you think deserves to be on the top of the podium instead? I'm sure with how many restaurants there are at Disney Springs, we've got a few different opinions, and I'd love to hear them in the comments. It's really, really helpful for the rest of our viewers to see what you think, because a lot of you have been there, and it's good to hear your stories too. So make sure you let us know in the comments and let the rest of the viewers know in the comments what you loved at these particular restaurants. And by the way, don't forget to pick up our free Best Disney Snacks guide over at disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks right now. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.